Hey, happy fall, y'all, and welcome to the Denver and Rio Grande Western Iron Horse Route, the channel that documents the development and progression of my N-scale model railroad layout. I encourage you to stick around for today's video, which is coming up next. Hey everybody, and welcome to my first video on scratch building. Today, I am going to show you the beginning of my scratch built watermill structure. If you've been following any of my previous videos, you know a while back, this previous summer in July, I put in a lot of water over here south Boulder Creek. Got a waterfall going on, and all we need is a water mill there with a water wheel going and all that good stuff. And so I was going to go ahead and order a kit. And somebody taught me into scratch building it on my own. And I tell you what, I'm really happy that I did. I'm happy the way things are going so far. I'm just going to show you here. Basically what I did is I found a very, very sturdy box, that little red box over there on the left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner right now. That's a Christmas box, and it's pretty sturdy stuff. And so what I did was I just made some measurements, and I cut out the basic structure of the home. And then I went in with the Flame Girl Pro skewers that you can get from Dollar General. You can get 50 of them for $1. Dollar General has like two different kinds of skewers, and both for $1. One you can get 100 for $1, and one you can get 50 for $1. The ones that are 50 seem to not have that coating on them, and they cut really clean and well. They're also very uniform in size, I've found. And so I'm using those not only for the helix, but on this commercial building, I'm using them as well. These skewers in scale feet are a little over 2 feet in width in diameter. And actually, they would probably be a little big for a residential, but for this commercial building, I'm thinking that those logs would not be too large. This is actually going to be a faux structure. Two sides will be real and two will be fake. Two sides will dissolve into my scenery background, giving the impression that the building is a little bit larger than it actually is, and as well as kind of giving the cool impression of it kind of dissolving into the scenery as well. Kind of talked to a few people about that, and I'm just going to kind of maybe add some paint and things in certain areas around there, just to give the effect of the building continuing going off into the distance a little bit. So right now all I'm doing is I'm laying that first block in there, and basically that one over there is just holding it up. And so what I've done is I'm cutting and I'm gluing. What I did was I pre-measured, a lot of this structure in the beginning, and then I went in and I made cuts. I made cuts per my specifications, and for the most part that worked well. A chopper would have probably been better, because I would have been able to do it more one at a time, and probably could have ensured some more accuracy that way. All these are, speaking of $1 at Dollar General, these are the $1 for 100 popsicle sticks. I bought them to use as stirrers for any of my experiments, but what I turned out finding them to be perfect for, they're perfect for flooring and shingles, etc., for these log cabins. And so they're a little thick, but basically, aside from that, for the cost at 99 cents for 100 of them, I mean, you just really can't beat it. And they don't look bad at all. Again, just kind of piecing things in. What I did was I had thought about cutting the skewers in the corners at 45-degree angles. I got a miter box, and I have a miter box, but I actually talked to somebody, and in the 1950s in the mountains, they definitely wouldn't have cut logs at 45-degree angles. And so I staggered them, making one the actual length of the wall and one extending a little bit. And what I did on the opposite corners is I staggered that so they would actually mesh together somewhat. It didn't work perfectly, but it did work well, and I'll be able to add some accent logs in there, and that'll actually should look pretty good when we're done. What I'm doing is I'm using a smaller log to accent the structure in the next video coming up. I'm using toothpicks that I cut uniformly, and I'm using those to kind of accent to do as window ledges, and so that's something you can look forward to coming up. They actually look really good in there. And so what I did was I just basically took my time. This, as I said, these boxes were pretty sturdy and pretty rigorous, and I had to actually, now that blade is not perfectly sharp. I do know, Vinny, being SF6951, I do know I'm supposed to use a perfectly sharp blade every time, but I'm low on blades and was too lazy to go to the store, so I didn't reuse it every time. And you know, he's right. It works so much better when you do that. But that was not a fresh blade, if you could tell, because I was struggling a little bit to cut. And so basically just more of the same, piecing each wall together, putting it together kind of like you would a house of cards. And what I'm doing there is I just have a kind of tan color paint that I'm going over, because the interior of that box, I could have peeled that off, but I didn't think about it initially. And the interior of that box has lots of bright colors on it and things like that, and so I didn't want those bright colors to show through the windows and the door openings and those kinds of things. Here I'm just painting it. This is just an extremely diluted brown wash. It's about 1 to 5 maybe, and it has proven to have a perfect color. What I'm doing is I'm just taking and knocking the fresh look off these skewers. They look like brand new wood, and I'm not going to like heavily weather this structure because I want it to be kind of built near the time that it's being in use. But all I'm doing is just washing down that and kind of giving it, like I said, I think that's about 5 to 1 brown to water, water to brown, excuse me. And just mixing up some glue here, getting ready to put in another wall. Just kind of doing it like a house of cards, just doing my best to keep it as close to 90 degrees and straight and accurate corners as I can. I do have some speed squares, but they were kind of hard to use with this. I could get over the top to the best of my ability, but here you see the second floor going in, and I just measured it and cut it up to the best of my ability. I got the good measurement on the beams. I made sure the beams were all square and sanded off and pretty much exactly the same length, and so my floor would be level down there. And that's what we got right now, guys. I am happy with what we got so far. I'm going to be adding accents, the roof, all kind of other stuff coming in episode 2. One more thing from you. If you haven't already, I need you to click right here, or click here, or here, or here, anywhere to stick around. Just stick around.